I would imagine that everyone can hear us, correct? So I'm going to start off by saying that we are going to say the F word. We're going to talk about fertility tonight. In the interest of time, we have around 20 minutes. I really do want to laser focus because I think that each and every one of the women who you'll be hearing from are so incredibly smart, engaging, personable, informative. And I would imagine that if you had any more questions, that will you avail yourself to any questions that people may have?
Of course.
Okay.
Totally.
First off, I'm going to just start off. I am Sarah Brokaw. I'm the moderator of the panel discussion. I had done the Wine and Dine panel discussion back in 2016, I believe, in Los Angeles. I did it with Dr. Jessica Shepard, and it was a lot of fun. So, of course, I wanted to do it again. But I'm going to start off with the far left. This is Dr. Elizabeth Yuko. She's a bioethicist and writer and the health and sex editor of She Knows Media. Before I continue, can you quickly describe what it is to be a bioethicist?
Sure. So I kind of wear two hats as a bioethicist, one in kind of academia and medicine, and that is really helping people, especially women, make informed decisions about their healthcare. And that kind of falls under the bioethics principle of autonomy, as in making your own informed choices. So I believe in reproductive autonomy, sexual autonomy, autonomy over my own vagina and uterus. I'm the boss of it, you're the boss of yours. And so that's that part. And then as a journalist, my job is to provide this information to women so they can help make their own decisions, like that about fertility, et cetera.
Great. And here's the lovely Jessica Shepard. She is an OBGYN now based in Dallas, correct?
Yes,
Recently moved.
I'm a Texan now.
Okay. From here, what she had described on our conference call, but she does have an extended bio, but once again, in the interest of time, I'm just going to say what she had told us was that she does a lot of surgery and media and feels that it's important that women understand their health with bite-sized info that they can take home.
Absolutely, making it comfortable, making vagina easy to say. I think we should all drink when we say vagina, yeah?
Ooh, a drinking game, I love it.
It's 20 minutes. But I think that's the majority of my day is talking to women in and out of the office about what makes them uncomfortable and breaking those taboos and talking about fertility and vagina and all the things that we should be comfortable with and have autonomy of and be empowered by to share with ourselves and all our friends and family.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Now we have Dr. Logan Levkoff. Her daughter's here, and I had asked if it was okay for her daughter to be here. She's like, she's heard it. She's heard it all, so it's okay.
This is not new.
She is a sex editor. Her focus is on human sexuality and marriage. She designs and implements the sex ed programs in schools, and you have written parenting books, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Her voice is the consummate realist and unapologetic. She talks about feeling comfortable with making certain choices in fertility and family, what women think about it, and how it pertains to sexuality. Sex and reproduction, and I think we're all in agreement, are no longer one and the same. She also tries to navigate relationships throughout fertility and revisiting biology. Do you revisit biology with the families you talk to, the students you talk to?
I think that one of the problems we have in education today, one of the many, I should say, not the only one, is that if you think about how you learned about puberty and sexual development, forget the fact that it was a fairly white, heterosexist, cisgender lens. Let's put that aside for a second. But there is also something that is strictly biological in terms of we learn about our reproductive systems as if it's our only identity, but what about the vulva and the clitoris and the labia and all the things that we can see in the parts that give us pleasure, not just the parts that give us reproductive potential. So I sort of make it my mission to make sure that we all learn that we are more than just our reproductive potential, whether we choose to use our uteruses or not, whether we are trans women or not. Identifying as a woman is really powerful, and we all have the right to good, meaningful, healthy, pleasurable sexuality.
As you can see, they all have distinct skill sets. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pose questions and pose it as if looking through, 1, the bioethicist lens, 2, the medical lens, and then 3, the human sexuality lens, okay? So the first question I'm going to ask is going to be towards Jessica. Dr. Shepard, that is going to be about fertility. And what has been the most common concern surrounding fertility that you have experienced when patients come to your office?
Yeah, I think fertility is definitely a hot topic today, only because we have come to the point in society where women feel empowered to, if that's define their career or define who they are as a woman, maybe push back childbearing a little bit, later than they did before. So now it's that fine balance of when's too early, when's too late, and what are my options? So that's the conversation that it usually, circulates around is, am I too late, am I too early, and what are my options? So again, I feel that the advent of science and medicine has really brought us to a point where you have more options than we've ever had before. And I feel that women have so many options as far as birth control. We have a variety of options, but the fact is that I find, even though we talk about this a lot more, is that we actually don't have all that information to make informed decisions in order to have, I love that you use autonomy, because we say that all the time.
It's one of my favorite words.
Use it that much. But having that autonomy and that ability to say, this is what I want for me, and this is why. And this is the information that I got from my gynecologist or my healthcare provider in making that informed decision. That's why I say make sure that your gynecologist is like your best friend, and you want to go in there and talk to them and sit on the couch. It might look like an exam table. It's a little bit different than a couch, but you want to feel comfortable in that conversation and make sure that your fertility awareness is on point.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to ask you a question.
Me?
Yes. So I'm sorry, I'm just looking at you. So the question for you as a bioethicist, how does fertility play a role in what you do?
So as technology advances in terms of egg freezing technologies, in terms of IVF, in terms of surrogacy, increasing capabilities of keeping neonates alive in incubators, more and more difficult ethical questions arise. So these are situations where there's no clear, easy answer. So you have to really weigh the risks and benefits of each type of treatment, of each course of action to decide what's really right for you. And one type of birth control might be great for me, but not great for the next person. IVF might be the best option for some person, but not the other. Even motherhood itself is not a foregone conclusion for women. Just because I have a uterus does not mean I necessarily have to use it to make babies. And thank you. Please share that with my mother. Not a joke. And accept people's decisions to live the way that they want to live, and not identify your own identity with your capability of reproducing. So contrary to what a lot of our Republican friends think, we're more than walking wombs. We have other characteristics. So.
And so, Logan, how would you address fertility with parents or students?
Sure. So obviously, I'm an educator, and I don't necessarily deal with fertility on a regular basis, but what I deal with is the identity piece of it, and allowing all of us to know that our success in life is not measured by how, if, when we choose to use our bodies for reproductive potential or not. I think that those are the choices and those are the conversations that are so necessary. I am also the person in a kid's classroom when they say sex is for babies. I'm going to say there's a lot of different types of sex, and no, it's not. I'm that person. So,
yes.
So I mean, if that works for you, awesome. If it doesn't, I may not be teaching the people that you care about. Who knows? But I think it's about really starting a conversation about who we are as women, that we're not limited to this one title, that if you want that title, wonderful, but it's not the only way to measure personal success. And I think that's important also for all types of relationships, that partners need to be involved in that discussion too. And that also means we need to be forthcoming with what we want or don't want out of our partnerships, but oftentimes we leave that part out and cross our fingers and hope that someone's going to be on the same page with us.
I'm going to go and we can talk about fertility, and I think it's really a fascinating conversation, an important conversation, but I also want to get down to the fun part, which is sex.
Vaginas?
Vaginas, sex.
Clitoris.
Right, clitoris, you name it. the labia minora, the labia majora,
Both
right?
of them.
So we talked about this in Los Angeles, and I think it's really important to talk about it, which is part of talking about, I think, fertility is also just talk about our wonderful vaginas, right, men? We're out there who enjoy vaginas, right? Gotta enjoy the vaginas. No
Way to
matter-
represent.
Right? We got 3 men, right? And women
And they're
who
all
also,
fans.
And women who enjoy vaginas too, right? They're all great. So I guess my question is going to go back to Dr. Shepard. Something that had come up, which was the G-spot. Does it exist?
Does it? Who thinks it does? Someone was hollering out there. So actually, the G-spot really is anatomical. So it's kind of like some people have maybe a slender nose or a larger nose. The G-spot is not significant saying that if you do have it or you don't, that it's good or bad. Now, what I will say is that the G-spot is anatomically an extension of the clitoris. So I love the clitoris. Yes, my own, and the clitoris in general. But I feel that that is like the one organ that is specifically made for pleasure.
Yep, that's it.
What else is it doing but giving us pleasure? So that's pretty awesome. But when you think about like a tree, and if you think underground, all those branches that extend under the ground, the clitoris is similar to that. So you have all these nerve endings, which again goes to the pleasure that we feel throughout any type of sexual pleasure or intercourse. And all of those nerves enter into the anterior or the top part of the vagina, which is kind of the G-spot. So how many nerve endings or how far it extends into that part of the vagina is exactly what the G-spot is.
Got it.
So that's why we say the come hither is how you can
Come hither.
Have you guys heard that? Yeah? Okay. So you have to know, again, where to find it, how
Yes.
to activate it. And also a part of that is not focusing just, oh, I have a G-spot and where is it, is actually taking that whole sexual experience and not focusing just on the G-spot. There are so many parts of the vagina and the labia that are really part of that whole pleasure experience. So enjoy it, explore, take a mirror and look down there, please. So many people that so many patients that come in, I'm like, have you ever looked down there?
They don't have a
They're
clue.
like, I have not looked down there, but they'll tell me to look. I'm like, so you want me to look, but you're not gonna look. So I think it's really important to know your anatomy,
Yes.
be very comfortable with it, and that's why it's in arm's reach.
Logan, do you want to chip in?
Yeah, there's so much to say. So, it's funny. Sam Ski at Chino's will tell you that I am like the language police when it comes to anatomy. My kids are the ones correcting their teachers and saying, are you sure you don't mean the vulva, not the vagina? Those are my people. But I think that to me, there's a huge equity issue in talking about bodies and using correct terms. And this is no slight to anyone who has a penis, but there's no one I know who grows up becoming an adult that doesn't know the penis is called a penis, right? Call it slang, fine, but they still know it's a penis. That's not really the same for people with vulvas and vaginas often, that we don't talk about it the same way. It's why we aren't comfortable often talking about masturbation, speaking up for ourselves, talking about our needs, showing partners, because the language starts, in an unequal way. So I just want to say that however you choose to experience pleasure with whomever, whether it's in, reaching orgasm or not, it's so important to understand what your own body is. No partner magically gets it. I don't care how long you've been in a relationship with someone, they do not magically get it. Like, you need to know, and then you can translate it for someone else.
Perfect. Elizabeth, I think this has to be our last question. This is how quickly time has gone. So this has to be our last question.
Ooh.
I know. Am I right about that? Yes. Okay. So Elizabeth, would you want to chime in about this, or would you just want to stick with?
Sure. No, absolutely. This is a bioethics issue. It's a gender and sexual equity issue, as Logan mentioned. We frequently think of the orgasm as the be-all and end-all of a sexual experience, and of course it's great, But as you were both mentioning before, there are so many other things that are enjoyable that don't necessarily have to end in an orgasm, and that's pressure for a lot of people. So we previously talked about the orgasm gap in that straight women have the fewest number of orgasms of anybody because, unfortunately, our partners are not very equipped to deal with the plumbing. And so then the language kind of shifted to the pleasure gap because that even is more encompassing. And when you think about what we think of as traditional sex, that, it starts with foreplay, which for some people is sex, whether that's manual or oral or kissing or caressing or whatever. For a lot of people, that is their whole sex thing. It shouldn't be set up for a penis. So it's foreplay to get the penis ready. Then it's intercourse, so the penis has somewhere to go. And then sex ends when the penis comes. No, great, congratulations. But there's so much more to sex than just a coming penis. And yes. So yeah, I think it is an ethics issue to kind of reframe the way we think about it.
Yeah.
And make it much more inclusive to other people who don't have a penis.
We like penises. I like penises. I'm just saying.
Right. No shade to penises.
Right. No
they
shade.
accomplish a lot too.
Right.
Welcome to Wine and Guy. Just another night.
So I'm going to wrap things up, but I want everyone just to lift up their glass, if you have a glass, and just scream out vagina.
Vagina!
So I don't know if we have any time for questions. I don't think that we do, because I don't see any mic. Am I correct? Are we done? All right. These will definitely be available to talk afterwards. Thank you guys for coming.
Thank you.
Hi.